Uh, Good morning, friends. Myself, Manoj Kumar Chitale, Assistant Professor, Hirashiguro Institute of Technology, Nidsoshi. In this session, we people are going to discuss about how the organization of window functions. That is how we organize these windows. Okay, and what the other operations we people are performing that are related to this window here. Information and a function must be presented to the people whenever and where they need it. Most of the time, if you look at the today's world, we people are very much interested in on demand and on command of information. Even that particular concept applies to the way we people are interacting with the system here. That is, we people are trying to organize some sort of a functions, as well as we people are trying to organize those windows in a proper manner. And when it comes to the proper organization and the support of the task by the windows, that can be derived through thorough analysis of what a user is performing, what type of a task that end user is performing here. Most of the time, the people think in terms of a task, not a function or a application. The windows must be organized to support that thinking here. What a design goal we people are trying, design goal we people are practicing here is the common task should and must be we need to implement this common task in a most efficient manner with a few steps here, and a less frequently performed task need to be considered for a less efficiency, or you can use a more step to implement those tasks here. If you look at this window organization, that we need to organize these windows to support user task, support the most common task in a most efficient sequence of a step. That is, we need hardly fewest steps to implement these common tasks here, and less frequently used tasks. These are the candidates for a less efficiency. You can implement those tasks with a more number of steps here. Here we people are using a primary window, begin an interaction and provide a top level context for a dependent window, and perform a major interaction. We need to use these secondary windows just to extend the interaction, obtain or display supplemental information that is related to primary window, as well as we need to use these dialog boxes. Infrequently used or needed information should and must be displayed by using these dialog boxes, and that these dialog boxes should and must consist a nice to know information. And maybe we people are getting some sort of problems that are associated with these organizing these windows. Maybe these poor functional organization. These are the factors that are associated with the poor functional organization of these windows. The emphasis on a technical ease of implementation rather than the proper analysis of a user task. Okay, without knowing the what end user is expecting, what task he is performing, without knowing that thing, we people are most of the time we people are very much putting some sort of a keen interest on these technical aspects. That is how we people are implementing these functions. The second one, the proper focus on application features, functions or a data types instead of a task here. Organization of the design team into application with a little cross team communication. Maybe we people are creating some sort of teams for implementation of those tasks. As we people are dealing with the application orientation, maybe these teams may not able to communicate with each other. The next one is blindly mimicking the manual world and carrying over a manual inefficiency to the computer system. The next one, we have the number of windows. The objective here is to minimize the number of windows just to accomplish a task here. The people most of the time are performing a multiple task at a time, and for that your system should and must provide a multiple windows. A person does not work with the window simply for the joy of working. This window is nothing but it's a method of accomplishing something. Multiple windows on a display can be a confusing one and can increase the load on a human visual system. Maybe it is too small to effectively present what needs to be contained within them here. If you look at the guidelines, the maximum number of windows that a person can use at a one time is 7. And if you look at the number that an experienced user handles them, that is a 3.7 here. That the exact number of windows a person can effectively deal with at one time, that is completely dependent on a user and a characteristic of a task here. And most of the time we prefer a 2 to 3 window at a time. 2 to 3 window, that is a less number of windows at a time. The objective what we people are getting here is we need to minimize the number of windows so that we can accomplish that objective that is a given, we can able to perform that task here. Most of the time it's better to use the single window here. The next one, we have a window operations. Over a period of a time, we people are getting the number of guidelines. Maybe these guidelines are coming from a certain organization, because we don't have a standard organization that deals with this user interfaces. Okay, there are a number of a company, they are following their own guidelines so that they can make their product as a popular one here. And these guidelines will continue as well as develop over a period of a time, as well as change as the end user as well as the designer will get some sort of a experience by using these window interfaces. Most of the time we people are performing certain activities that are associated with the windows. Those are nothing but operations. The first one, we have a active window. A window should be made active with as few steps as possible. Visually differentiate the active window from the another here. We already know that your system supports the multiple window, and usually the user works within a single window at a one time here, and that window is called as a active window. Either that active window may be designated by your system or maybe by the end user. Many system makes that a window as active when an object of another window operation, whenever you people are performing a certain operation, and in turn that operation generates another window, based on that particular new window becomes the active one. The end user also permitted to make a window as active in fewer steps. Uh, 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 the user should and must select the cursor. That is how we people are making that window as an active one. Most of the time the user should and must move the cursor to the Windows interior and press the button or a key here. That is, you people are sending some sort of a signal. For a hidden windows, most of the time menu, that is you should and must provide a menu just to open those windows, might be presented from which user, that how you select this a new window. Okay, that is a new open window. That is, you should and must provide certain menus just to open a window that needs to be presented from which user selects a new open window here. In some situation, in some situation we need a multiple windows. In the sense, if the user is expecting multiple windows to perform a task, you should and must provide them. Most of the time, if you are using a multiple windows, on that case the performance simply degrades. For that purpose, we also interested in to reduce that the number of windows, or it's better to use a single window at a time just to accomplish that task here. That is, if the speed of a task is if the speed of task handling is important, then it is better to use a single active window. Even the second point is, that is nothing but we need to differentiate between the active window and other windows. So most of the time the different the approaches we people are using when it comes to identifying, when it comes to differentiating the active window with the other windows here. Even it is important that a user need to quickly identify that active window, and we people are following a certain methods. Okay. One is the contrast. That is change the contrast. That is a window, title bar, border, the background color. Another method what we people are using, that is we need some sort of the indicators. Maybe you can make them on and off, or you can use the combination of these two also. That is nothing but whenever you make one window as active, that the contrast, the title bar information, that is, you should and must highlight them properly. That provides some sort of indication to the end user that you people are working with this particular window. The second one is you can use some sort of indicators. That is, whenever you click on one particular window, you need to turn it on, or whenever you people use another window, make that indicator as on and off here. If you look at the general the guidelines, that design easy to use and learn windowing operations. Whenever we design any kind of a windows, that should and must be easy one. That is how you people are making that one window as active, and the end user should and must learn that process very easily. The complexity of that Windows system should not affect its potential the advantages also. The direct manipulation seems to be faster and a more intuitive interaction style than the indirect manipulation for many windowing operation. Minimize the number of windows operation necessary to achieve uh, this desired effect here. So we people are performing a certain operations. That operations are carefully designed to achieve that simplicity here. When it comes to this direct manipulation, window manipulation should and must occur implicitly as a result of a end user task. Whenever you perform a certain operation that you people are dealing with, that the window manipulation, you should and must make that windows as active or a passive or a inactive based on a certain activity, and that should and must be the result of a end user tasks. You need to implement these functions implicitly, okay, not explicitly here. Minimize the number of Windows operations that are necessary to achieve the desired effect. Make a navigation between a windows particularly easy and efficient to do. That setting up a process, okay, make the setting of a windows particularly easy to remember. That a process of setting windows easy to remember here. Less frequently operations, like most of the time we people are performing operations like opening, resizing, moving. Should and must be easy to learn here. In an overlapping system, provide powerful commands for arranging windows on the screen in a user tailored configuration. When it comes to this user tailored configuration, in overlapping system we need to provide powerful commands for arranging these windows in a user tailored configuration, as well as we need to provide easy operation to achieve the desired windowing configuration. Either you can create them, name them, as well as recall them. The next one, the next one, we have a opening a window. Whenever we people are performing this particular task, that is opening a window, maybe you people are using some sort of icons. That by pressing on that icon, you people are getting the window here. Okay. Whenever these windows are opened, we need to designate them as a active window, and that should and must be present on the top of the screen here, so that the end user use these windows immediately. Okay, in this windows, whenever you open that window, that window should and must adapt itself to the size as well as the shape of the monitor on which it will be presented. And in certain cases, the end user is excuse me, here whenever you open a new window, that window should and must adapt itself, its size and a shape to the size of the monitor here on which it will be presented, and we need to designate it as a active window here. And most of the time, just to highlight that window, just to highlight that particular window, we need to set it off against a neutral background here, so that the Windows title bar should and must be visible. When opening a window from the iconic representation, maybe you people are using certain icons just to open that particular window, and that window should and must expand gradually here. That window should and must expand gradually. That movement should and must be visible. That is, you should and must get that feel that a window is opening here. Whenever we open a primary window, when a primary window is opened or restored, we need to put this particular window at the top here. Okay, and we need to restore all the secondary window to the state that existed when the primary window was closed. When a dependent secondary window is opened, position it top of its associated primary window, position a secondary window with peer windows on a top of its peers. Present a layered or a cascaded window with any related peer secondary window here. When a dependent secondary window is activated, its primary window and a related peer window should also be positioned at the top. Suppose if more than one object is selected and opened, display each object in a separate window, and we people are making that a last window as the active one here. Okay, if you look at these guidelines, we people are very much interested in how we people are opening that a particular window here. Whenever suppose if you are using a iconic window, whenever you open, suppose if you are using that iconic window to open a window here, on that case you should and must get some sort of a visual impact that window should and must gradually expand here. Okay, if opening a window with an expansion of an icon, animate the icon expansion here. When opening a window, position the opening window in the most forward plane of the screen. That is, that should and must be present on top of the screen here. Okay, the next one is adapt the window to the size and the shape of the monitor on which it will be presented. We need to make that the newly opened window as a active one here, just to differentiate between this newly opened window or active window. What we people are doing, we need to make a background as a neutral one, that ensures that its a title bar should and must be visible. When a primary window is opened or restored, you need to position it on the top, restore all the secondary windows, so that the states that existed when the primary window was closed here. Okay, suppose we have a dependent secondary window. On that case, you need to position it top of that primary window here. Okay, we have a primary window, on top of that we have a secondary window, and we people are making that a secondary window as a active here. Okay, because the end user is dealing with that secondary window here. Position the secondary window with a peer windows on top of its peers. Present a layered or a cascaded window with any related peer secondary windows here. When a dependent secondary window is activated, it's a primary window and a related peer window should also be positioned at the top here. Suppose if you open the number of objects, on that case we need to open these objects in a separate windows, and we need to make that last window as a active here. When the next one, we have a window, the window sizing. Most of the time, if you look at the guidelines, provide a large enough windows to present all the relevant and expected information for the task. We need to provide a huge space, okay, that is enough space, so that we can present the information that is needed for the task here. You should not, here we people are not at all interested to hide the critical information or important information that is needed for the that is needed to accomplish these tasks here. Most of the time we people are not at all interested to hide that information, as well as we people are interested to minimize the scrolling also. Avoid a crowding or avoid a crowding or a visual confusion. Minimize the need for a scrolling, but use a less than full size of the screen here. If a window is too large, we need to determine whether that all that information is needed, is all that information are related or not. And if you look at this window size, most of the time we people are very much interested in how we people are looking at the optimum window size here. Maybe we people are interested to suppose if you have a text content, we people are preferring around 12 lines. Suppose if it contains the alphanumeric information, on that case the window should and must have a 7 lines here. If you look at this scenario, most of the time we people are interested to provide the large space so that we can present some sort of relevant as well as expected information that is needed for the task here. We people are also not at all interested to hide certain information, as well as we people are interested to minimize that scrolling. Suppose if you have a large window, on that case you should, and maybe in certain cases we people need to scroll more here, just to avoid that scrolling. Most of the time we people are considering some sort of unfolding dialog boxes or controlling we people are trying to control that window by using some sort of cascading windows or tab control, making windows a default size, the full size of the display here. We people are simply avoiding that particular thing here, that is making that windows a default size to the size of that display here. Even we people are, that is avoid that crowding or as well as a visual confusion here. And apart from that, we people are very much interested in whether that the information that is needed here, whether is all that information is needed, as well as whether that information is related or not here. Maybe suppose if you look at the way we organize some information, a certain information is crucial or important, or most of the time we people are using such information frequently, that should and must be maintained on the screen here. That should and must be maintained on the screen. And the remaining the remaining thing, that is the content that changes frequently, or the information that is not at all needed, that is infrequent access of the information, that hardly we people are getting that information as a 10 to 20%. Okay, 10 to 20%. Okay, it's better to represent that content with some sort of a, you can represent that information in a separate window, or you can use some sort of a dialog boxes also. When it comes to uh, 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 making that a window as small as possible, we people are very much interested in the optimum size here. Maybe we people are getting some sort of a, suppose if you are using some sort of a the text information, that a window size simply comes with a 6 12 and 24 line windows, and we people are getting some sort of a fast as well as a most accurate operation or a completion occurred with these 12 lines. Suppose if you have a alphanumeric information, you will get some windows with the lines of a 7, 13 and 19 line windows, and most of the time this 7 line window is a preferred one. If you look at the advantages of the larger window as well as the disadvantages, the advantages of a larger window that permits a display of more information. We can represent, we can put some sort of a more information over this larger window. Facilitate learning, that provides some sort of the data relationship as well as a grouping are more obvious. A less window manipulation requirement exists. A breadth is preferred to the depth one, that is based on a menu research. A more efficient data validation and data correction can be performed. Maybe if you look at the advantages, even we people are getting the certain disadvantages that are associated with these larger windows. We need a longer pointer movements. Okay, most of the time these windows are crowded. More visual scanning is required, that is you need to look at that content for a longer period of a time, so that you can read all that information that is necessary. Other windows more easily obscure the part of the windows. Not as easy to hide inappropriate data here. The next one, we have a window consideration, a window placement. When it comes to this particular point, we people are very much interested in how we place these windows on a display. Okay, we people are interested to consider how this a window is used in a relation with the other window, and the use of this window, how this window can be used in a relation with the other windows, the overall display dimension, and the reason, okay, for what purpose this window is being presented. Okay, that is a window's appearance here. If you look at this general guidelines, we need to locate the windows so that it can be fully visible. That is a position the window so that it can be entirely visible. If the window is being restored, place the window where it is last appeared. If the window is new and a location has not yet been established, we need to place this window at the point where the viewer attention, where the viewer can give some sort of attention, usually the location of the pointer or a cursor, or in a position that is convenient to navigate to. Where in the sense we here we will not where it will not obscure the important underlying window information here. Most of the time when it comes to the, if you look at the order of a placement, maybe we people have a right, that is the right side of the screen, below right, or a top right, that is a order. Okay, below, a left, top left, and so on. Suppose if you have a multiple window configuration, we need to give some sort of a unique, we need to give this additional give this additional window, that is its own unique and discernible location. Okay, most of the time if you the multiple windows, suppose if you have a multiple windows, for each additional window its own unique and discernible location we need to provide. The cascading presentation is recommended. In a multiple monitoring configuration, display the secondary window on the same monitor as it's a primary window. Okay, if otherwise we people are getting some sort of options here, where exactly we people are providing, or where exactly we people are placing these windows. The horizontally center a secondary window within its primary window, that is just below the title bar, menu bar, or any dock toolbar here. Suppose if the user moves that window, display it at this new location, the next time the user opens the window, that is should and must, what we say that when the user simply moves that windows to the new position, it should and must adjust itself to the current display configuration. Okay, for that purpose, if you look at this scenario, we people are displaying that window at that new location, so that when the user opens that window, that should and must adjust itself to that current display configuration here. Do not let the user move a window to a position where it cannot be easily repositioned here. The dialog boxes. If a dialog boxes relate to the entire system, center it on the screen. Keep key information on the underlying screen, that is a visible one. If a one dialog box calls the another one, make that a new one movable whenever it is possible. The next one, we have a window separation. All window must be clearly set off from the underlying screen and a window here. The demarcation must be demarcation must be a crispy one, as well as it should and must be a visually pleasing one. Here most of the time, if you look at how we separate one window from the another, crisply, clearly and pleasingly demarcate a window from the background of the screen on which it appears. We people are providing a single, that is a single solid line border for these windows. Most of the time we people are interested to set that screen background color so that we can easily highlight these windows. Maybe we can use some sort of a compatible colors. The compatible colors should and must be used, or provide a window background that set the window off well against the overall screen background. Okay, here we people are interested to use some sort of the compatible colors, or you can use some sort of a light shaded background, or that color should and must be used. Okay, that instead of using some sort of a dark colors, we prefer the light shaded background color that provides some sort of a more pleasing effect here than the different colors here. Consider incorporating a shadow beneath the window here. The next one, we have a moving a window. We need a indication whenever we perform this move operation. There should and must be indication that particular operation has been selected, and that indication that whenever that a move operation is performed, that shape of the pointer should and must change here. In the sense, we need to change the shape of the pointer, so that indicate that a move selection is a successful one. Here, when it comes to moving this a window, the end user should and must have that a right to move these windows to the appropriate position over the screen here. Permit the user to change the position of all these windows. And whenever we people are performing this operation, there should and must be a indicator. Based on that, we can easily say that a move operation has been selected. And whenever we perform this operation, that is a move operation, we people are simply changing the shape of this pointer. That indicates that a move operation or a selection is a successful one here. That simply provides some sort of a feedback to the end user, that indicating it is safe to begin the move operation. Whenever we perform this move operation, should and must move the entire window as the pointer moves. Suppose if it is not possible, in the sense, suppose if we may not able to move the entire window, simply move the window outline while leaving the window display in its original position. If the entire window cannot be moved, move a window outline while leaving this a full window displayed it on the screen here. A moving window outline only sometime it makes the end user to make it hard for a end user to decide when a window has been repositioned correctly here. The permit the moving of a operation without its being active. Maybe you can move a active window or other windows, but the point here is whenever you perform this move operation, that implicitly makes the window as the active one here. The next one, we have a resizing a window. Permit the user to change the size of a primary window unless the information that is displayed in the window is fixed, or that cannot be scaled to provide more information. For example, we have a calculator. you can easily increase the size as well as decrease the size here. Whenever we perform this operation, there should and must be we need an indicator that simply tells that this particular operation has been selected, and that the indicator is nothing but the change in the pointer shape. Okay, that indicates the resizing operation has been selected successfully. The simplest operation is to anchor the upper left corner and resize from the lower right corner. Maybe you people are getting some sort of a, see, whenever you take your cursor to the bottom of your window screen, that is below the tool, below the vertical scrolling bar, the icon immediately changes, and you can move the you can resize the window by moving the pointer from the lower right corner to the upper left corner here. Okay, according to the end user need, you can resize the window here. Also permit resizing from the any point of the window. You should and must provide some sort of a flexibility to the end user to resize the window. Resize the window from any point of the border here. Okay, that anchor is always opposite to the pulling point. Maybe some people are facing some sort of a difficulty. Okay, maybe whenever they are performing this resize operation, that is nothing but which window sides or corners will be resized from a specific pulling point. Whenever we perform this operation, show the changing window as the pointer moves. Okay, as we seen in moving a window, whenever you move a pointer, the size of the windows should and must change here. If it is impossible to show the entire window being resized, show the window's outline while leaving the window displayed in its original position here. Maybe if you look at the effect of the effect of resizing operation, when the window size changes, the content remains the same. If you look at the outcome of this operation, suppose if I increase the window size, that can hold a lot of information. That is for example, suppose if you enlarge the window, on that case the more data will be displayed. Suppose if you have images, the larger images you will get, and maybe we people are inserting some sort of a blank spaces. Suppose if you decrease, or suppose if you reduce the size or shrink the size of the window, on that case the less information will be presented. The images will become a very smaller one, or whenever you people are using some sort of a information in the form of some sort of a logical structure or a format or a layout, on that case that content can be a truncated one or removed one. When the window size changes, the content remains the same. Change image size proportionally as the window size changes. If a resizing creates a window or an image too small for easy use, do one of the following. The first one, clip or a truncate. Clip the information that is arranged in some logical structure or a layout when the minimum size is attained, or when no layout consideration exists, format information as a size is reduced, that is a restructure, or remove less useful information. Suppose if you determine, on that case we can easily remove that content. When a minimum size is attained, replace the information with a message that indicates that the minimum size has been reached and that the window must be enlarged to continue working. Permit resizing a window without its being an active one. The window may be active or it may be a passive one or inactive. Even on that case, you should and must provide this resizing operation on that windows. But the point here is, whenever you initiate, whenever you perform this operation, we people are making that particular window active implicitly here. What other operations we people are performing? We need to permit the end user so that the fellow can able to perform a certain operations, especially on a primary window. Permit a primary windows to be maximized, minimized and restored. Maximizing a window, that is nothing but increase the size of a window to its largest optimum size. And the system default setting for the maximum size is as large as the display size. That should and must be adjustable, because we have already that resize operation. You can increase or decrease the size of this window also. Minimizing a window reduces it to its smallest size here. Restoring, that restore operation returns a window to its previous size, maybe from a maximize to a minimize or a minimize to a maximize here. Okay, that is a previous state what we have. Based on that, we people are restoring that window here. The next one, we have a window shuffling. A window shuffling must be easy to accomplish here. And for this window shuffling, we people are using two approaches. One is a toggle of two most recently displayed windows. And the second option what we people are following, you need to permit the end user to perform this rapid window shuffling, or we can swap the front window and the second window or a back window. Okay, that is a fastly here, so that window shuffling can takes place here. The next one, we have a keyboard control and a mouseless operation. The Windows actions should be capable of being performed through the keyboard as well as a mouse. Whenever you people are dealing with these windows, or whenever you people are handling this Windows operation, this Windows operation should and must be performed through the keyboard as well as a mouse here. Most of the time, when it comes to the keyboard, the alternative mnemonics should and must be given for performing these window actions. For example, suppose if you are swapping these windows, most of the time we people are using Alt plus Tab here, so that we can make one window to the top of the screen and start working on that particular active window here. In the same manner, maybe we people are using a mouse, so that you can select a appropriate window, and we people are making one window as active here. The keyboard designations should be capable of being modified by the user. Closing a window. Close a window when a user request that it to be closed. That is when the actions are required in the window is performed, or when that window has no relevance. On that case, we people are initiating this activity or operation, we can say that. Suppose if a primary window is closed, on that case we need to close all its associated secondary windows. We need to close all its associated secondary windows here. And whenever we perform this operation, most of the time we need to save the state of this current window here. that can be used whenever we open that a particular window here. Again, the next one, we have a web system. Just take a 5-minute break, and we will go with this content here. Okay. Here we people are going to discuss about the web system. When it comes to the web system, your browser simply consists of some of the components like a back button, forward button, stop, refresh, home, search, favorite, history, etc. The web system have they have a limited windowing capabilities. We people are using one concept that is called frames here. That this frame concept provides some sort of a window-like functionality or ability to the web here. And we have a JavaScript, and we can use that JavaScript to provide some sort of a pop-up window functionality. If you look at the web is a single page entity. Okay, and the web doesn't have that a window like a functionality here. And just to provide that a window like a functionality, we people are using these frames. A frame is an independent pane of information that is presented in a web page here. When it comes to this frames, multiple web screen panes that permit the display of multiple documents on a page here. Maybe we can represent these frames as a tiled one, not a overlapping capabilities. And because of that reason, whatever the information we people are presenting over these frames, they are whatever. If you look at the functionality we people are getting from these frames, they are not a rich one, they are not a supportive. The kind of the functionality we people are getting from the overlapping capabilities or windows here. The frames simply allow multiple web screen panes that permit the display of multiple documents on a page here. These multiple documents can be independently viewed, scrolled, as well as updated. Here we have already discussed these documents are simply presented in a tiled format, not a overlapping format here. These frames are very useful when we have a web page that consists of some sort of information that changes very frequently here. On that case, such kind of information should and must be placed within a frame. For a content that expected to change frequently, to allow a user to change a partial screen content, to permit the user to compare the piece of information. We people are having some sort of information that changes frequently in a web page. That kind of a content should and must be placed over these frames here. Another functionality is you hardly need to change only certain portion of that web page here, or that can be modified. In certain cases, these frames can allow to change the page content also. Maybe we can provide some sort of an navigation links that can be inserted into these frames here, as well as whenever you use those links, that information will be displayed on another frame here. As the links are selected, the content in a related frame also changes. Even these frames allow the user or permit user to compare the piece of information or multiple pieces of related information that are displayed within different frames also. If you look at the advantages that are associated with these frames, they simply decrease the user's needs to jump from to and fro between the screen here, that is a backward and a forward, so on and so forth. They simply increase the user's opportunity to request, to view, as well as the compare the multiple sources of information. As well as we discussed, we can easily design or document these frames independently. That is, multiple frames can be designed in a single web page here. If you look at the disadvantages that are associated with it, the difference between the single web page and a page with a frame is not always obvious to the user. Maybe we people are having some sort of problems that are associated with tiled screens also. Only as the frame size is a very restricted one, only a limited number of information that can be displayed on that screen area. Most of the time that information is a crowded one. We people will get some sort of a less visual impact. Most of the time the end user simply put some sort of a concentration on a border. Suppose if you have some sort of a scroll bar or a control icons, not on the data here, or maybe as well as these frame based pages simply behave completely differently from the regular pages. Maybe we will face some sort of a difficulty in printing these pages. The page interaction becomes a very clumsy one. Even you cannot use these URLs for mailing purposes also. And another problem is some of the browser does not support these frames, and we people are getting some sort of a guidelines that are associated with the frames here. Use only a few frames at a time, that is 3 or less frames we need to use. You suppose if you use a more number of frames, that will shrink each frame's usable area to the point where only a little space we will get to present our information or content here. Even the user may not able to see that content, and maybe you people are forcing the user to scroll the frame here. Choose sizes based upon the type of information that to be presented or that needs to be presented. Maybe we people are using for example navigation links that should and must be presented in a small frames, and a corresponding information should and must be presented in the larger adjacent frames here. Never force a viewer to resize frames to see the information. Suppose if you allow the end user to resize these frames, on that case we can say that the design is a very poor one. Never use more than one scrolling region on a page here. That may confuse end users also. And another, we have the pop-up window. We need to use this pop-up window very cautiously. Most of the time, if you look at their behavior, they are multiplying in nature, and today we people are using, okay, and whatever the pop-up windows we people are getting over web pages, they simply pollute the screen here. Most of the time we people are using this pop-up window for advertising purpose. And in some cases end user simply omit this content. They may not able to view that information properly or completely. For that purpose, we people are very much interested how carefully, how cautiously we use these pop-up windows over the web here. In the next class, we will go with selecting the proper device-based controls here. Thank you.